The first wave of free agency just wrapped up, and we're excited to bring you our running back rankings. So starting off on our S tier, we're gonna have Bijan Robinson. Now Bijan had a pretty good rookie year, great prospect, but now he's getting Kirk Cousins as his quarterback. That is a massive upgrade. Kirk Cousins is one of the best quarterbacks in terms of feeding his weapons to get fantasy points, and Bijan Robinson's a great receiving back. The offense is going to take a huge uptick. He's still very young. He's going to be a great player. Could have elite upside in terms of 20 plus points per game. Just a great player to have. Who we got next?
Next, we got Brees Hall as our RB2. Next year, he'll be with Aaron Rodgers in the offense, somebody that was not there last year, obviously. They lacked offensive skill at quarterback with Zach Wilson. Brees Hall took a while to get going off that torn ACL, but second half of the year, he really picked it up and was a really big producer, really efficient with his touches, and things can only go up with Aaron Rodgers in the offense. He'll be fresh this year for the entire year. He'll be really good for this year and moving forward. Yeah, who you got to throw?
So the last player that we've got is Jahmyr Gibbs. Nothing's really changed with this first wave. It's still the top three guys in that S tier of running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs, we know he's splitting touches with David Montgomery, but he's still hyper efficient when he gets the ball in his hands. He's one of the top 5 RB talents in the league. He's great, especially in PPR formats. He catches the ball out of the backfield, and he's really young. So yeah, we like him in this S tier. Dalton, you want to start off the A tier?
Jonathan Taylor at the Colts. Anthony Richardson's coming back from injury, and we're hoping that opens up tons of running lanes for Jonathan Taylor as a runner. He's signed for 3 more years, so he has plenty of time to produce. Just a great player to have in your roster. Who do we have as our next running back, Jeff?
Yeah, RB5, we have Christian McCaffrey. I mean, there's not much more to say about Christian McCaffrey. He's produced for years. He's been healthy the past 2 years while he's been on the Niners, which is something that easily he has dealt with in the past with injury. But right now, they've kept him healthy and fresh somehow. He's hyper efficient when he touches the ball. He's in the receiving game, rushing game, touchdowns almost every week for the Niners with that offense with Kyle Shanahan. As long as he stays healthy, no matter what his age, he's going to be up there in the upper echelon of running backs because of that, like 20 to 25 point fantasy points per game that he's going to produce if he's on the field and healthy and starting for the Niners. Dak, who do you have up at RB6?
So RB6 is just going to start a new tier, the B tier for us. We've got Kyron Williams. The biggest concern we had on Kyron was his draft capital and the thought that he could get replaced either in free agency or the NFL draft. So far that has not happened. So we're going to have him at RB6. He could still get replaced during the draft, but if he doesn't, he returns to a role that he had last year where he was a 20 point per game scorer. He's still pretty young. That's a good offense. So from now, we like Kyron Williams, especially because the biggest knock on him was, he might get replaced. That hasn't happened yet. So we're going to have him RB6. We feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, there was 2 waves he had to get through. One was free agency, and one's the draft. He got through one. If he gets to the second one,
he's set
he's
there
a
at
good tier.
RB6.
He would generally go to A tier because he is
He
going to
produces.
score a ton of points.
Definitely produces.
Yeah.
So our next running back is going to be Saquon Barkley, who just signed a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a 3-year deal worth $38 million, so big bag for him. Saquon's a little on the older side. He's 27 years old, but the Philadelphia Eagles offense is miles ahead of the New York Giants offense. It's a night and day difference. He was fine at the Giants. He had a really good rookie year. Had a good year 2 years ago. Hopefully he can come back to form with the Eagles offensive line, which is much better than the Giants offensive line. It's night and day. Saquon, we believe, could get up into that 20 points per game as a running back, which is why he is this high up in rankings, even though his age is rather up there as well. Jeff, who we got at RB8?
RB8, we have Devon Achane from Miami. Really good offense. Mike McDaniel finds ways to get Devon Achane the ball. In open field, he's fast as could be. Gets in the end zone through the air. Not really the goal line back, but they have Mostert for that, or they'll bring in somebody else once Mostert's gone. That's not really his thing, but he produces in PPR, or he's very efficient with his touches. So he might only touch the ball 10 to 15 times a game, but he's got a good safe enough floor with his PPR upside to put him in at RB8 in our ranking. Dak, who do you have at RB9?
So RB9, wrapping up the B tier, we've got Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne was RB3 last season, only 16 points per game. He's one of the few running backs last year that stayed healthy for the entirety of the season. He also did that effectively his rookie season in 2022. He's another guy who's pretty talented. He was on an offense that definitely regressed this season, only averaged like 3.9 yards per carry. We could see that definitely tick back up. He's still going to have the touches. He's still going to have the workload that we like to see. He's good at catching passes out of the backfield, which you like to see in the PPR league. He's another guy. He's pretty solid. He's pretty young. He's on that rookie contract still. So yeah, we like him. We're going to have him here ending our B tier, and then we'll start with you, Dalton, who's starting off the C tier.
We got Josh Jacobs starting off the C tier, another running back that just changed teams. He's on the Packers now. Now he's on a 4-year deal, which sounds long, but there's options to get rid of him after every single year. So probably just goes off how good he is for the Packers. If he's good, they'll keep him longer. If he's not good, they'll get rid of him, right? The Packers, however, that's a pretty good offense now. You know what I mean? Jordan Love's an exciting new quarterback. They have good weapons at wide receivers, decent tight end room, and now they have Josh Jacobs. So he's probably going to be the lead back there. AJ Dillon is not going to do much besides take some of that like middle of the field work, which is completely fine for us. That's not very important for running back. We think Josh Jacobs could have a pretty high ceiling now, maybe that 18 points per game, which would, reason why we have him at RB10. Just 2 years ago, Josh Jacobs was a very high end RB, so maybe he can return to that form on the Packers. Who we got next?
Yeah, up at RB11 we have James Cook, running back for the Bills. Really good season this year. Got in the end zone. Caught passes from Josh Allen. He took a nice step up from his rookie year, but questions about his size and what the Bills can bring in to via the draft. He did survive the first wave of free agency, but again, like we said about Kyron, the draft is still ahead. You don't know how much he's going to be used near the goal line. Josh Allen is like a goal line back for them. So his touchdown upside is limited, which is why we have him at RB11 instead of a little bit higher. But James Cook, all in all, is a solid running back. Nothing too special, but good enough to be up at RB11 for us. Dak, who do we have at RB12?
So next up, we got Rashad White, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was RB4 last year, another guy that stayed healthy for pretty much the entire season, and he got his quarterback back in Baker Mayfield on a nice contract. A lot of Rashad White's points come from the air. He catches a lot of screen passes, just passes in general. So the fact that he got Baker back really makes us feel good that that's going to continue. He's not efficient at all. He's in real life not a very good running back, but in fantasy, he's very good. No competition in that backfield. We're going to stick with White, especially he's pretty young. So we got White here at RB12. Dalton, who rounds out the C tier?
Rounding off the C tier, we got Ken Walker of the Seattle Seahawks. Ken he's fine. He's a good pure runner. He doesn't catch the ball a whole lot, which limits his fantasy upside. We like Ken Walker because we think he's kind of guaranteed to have a decent sized workload in a okay offense. The offense does have upside if Geno Smith can return to his 2022 form. Ken Walker, he's still pretty young, got a couple years left in him. Zach Charbonnet did not have the most stellar rookie year. We don't really see him as a huge threat to take over Ken Walker. We see him more as the backup. So we think Ken Walker is a fine person to have as a C tier running back. Jeff, who's our first person in our D tier?
Yeah, to start off the D tier, we have Isaiah Pacheco, obviously running back for the Chiefs. The past couple of years, he's been really solid for them. They have McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he really blew those two out of the water. I don't believe they signed anybody in free agency. He's a workhorse. He's an angry runner, as people like to call him. He gets in the end zone when they're not throwing it, which is not that often, but he is the goal line option for them. And he's just a solid, you know what you're getting, hard runner in that 12 to 14 points per game range. So that's what what you're getting with Isaiah Pacheco. Dak, who do you have at RB15?
Yeah, next up we have Joe Mixon, who just signed with the Houston Texans after the Bengals let him go. Joe Mixon, he's getting up there in age, around 28 years old, but he just got put in that offense, in a Houston offense that's really exciting. He just got a nice contract too, 3 years for $27 million. Yeah, so he's older, like we said, but he's got a lot of upside for 1 to 2 years in that offense. Obviously led by CJ Stroud, who broke out his rookie year. They got a ton of weapons. It's a really exciting offense that should generate a lot of scoring opportunities. And Jim Mixon doesn't really have a lot of competition in that backfield other than Damian Pierce, who's just all right player. They got rid of Devin Singletary. So like we've said in previous windows, we like to play our running backs in 1 to 2 year windows. And Joe Mixon is that perfect, if you're especially a contending team, win now type of player to get on your team. And he's going to give you 15, 16 points per game in that exciting offense. If you're a rebuilding team, I would stay away from Joe Mixon. I would try and sell him if I was a rebuilding team. But contenders, I'm all in on Joe Mixon and getting him right now. Dalton, who's the next player in this tier?
Yes, we have another player that got moved. This is DeAndre Swift, signed with the Bears. Signed for 3 years. Swift's a decent player. He's pretty explosive, good pass catcher, and that's going to be really exciting in the Chicago Bears offense that is going to be the biggest improved team of this year. They're going to get Caleb Williams, and he's going to get the ball a decent bit. They have Rashawn Johnson there, who's he's pretty good, but we think Swift is going to be the main back, probably not the goal line back, but he's never really been the goal line back no matter where he's been. He's got a limited ceiling because of that, but we still think he could be a very solid option, maybe 14, 15, maybe even up to 16 points per game at running back position. And he's an overall solid player and a good offense. That's what we care about in our running backs. Jeff, finish us off.
Rounding out our D tier and our rankings, we have at RB17 David Montgomery, running back for the Lions. Someone that splits work with Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, we talked about before, fantastic running back. But David Montgomery is really their top goal line option, where he scores over 10 touchdowns this past season. The season before, Jamal Williams had tons of touchdowns. The Lions just love to use their big bell cow running back down by the goal line, which really has Montgomery's value where it is. He's okay in the middle of the field. He splits work with Gibbs, as I said before, but with Montgomery's touchdowns, his floor is there. Gets the ball 14 times a game about. Nothing that bad to say about David Montgomery, but just like I said about Pacheco before, you know exactly what you're getting with Monty, and that's what we got for David Montgomery.
Yeah, he's very fine, right?
Yeah.
So Dan Montgomery's always been. Well, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed our video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.